What if I told you that because the Celtics drafted 11th overall in the 2000 NBA draft, they ended up with Nikola Vucevic today? This trade tree is absolutely incredible, so let me walk you through it. With the 11th overall pick in the 2000 NBA draft, the Boston Celtics selected Jerome Moiso, a forward out of UCLA. After an awful 2001 season with the Celtics, he was traded to the 76ers for Roshan McLeod and a conditional first-round pick. This conditional first-round pick was lottery protected from 2003 to 2007, but because the 76ers made the playoffs in 2003, this pick was conveyed to the Boston Celtics in the 2003 NBA draft. And with the 20th overall pick in the 2003 NBA draft, the Boston Celtics selected Dante Jones out of Duke. Jones would have a very successful NBA career, but never play a game for the Boston Celtics, as on draft night, the Celtics packaged him and the 16th overall pick and traded it to the Memphis Grizzlies for the 13th overall pick and the 27th overall pick. The 27th overall pick is the main pick that we need to worry about in this story, because with the 27th overall pick, the Grizzlies selected Kendrick Perkins. Kendrick Perkins anchored the Celtics' defense at the center position in their 2008 championship run, however tore his ACL in Game 6 against the Los Angeles Lakers in the 2010 finals. When he came back in 2011, though, he did not want to sign a contract extension, so Danny Ainge ended up trading him to the Oklahoma City Thunder for forward Jeff Green. Green was okay in 2011, and he missed the entire 2012 season because he had to get open heart surgery, but when he came back from that in 2013, I would call him one of the faces of the mid-2010 Celtics when they were pretty much rebuilding at the time. Jeff Green's future was up in the air with the Celtics in 2015, so Danny Ainge decided to trade him to the Memphis Grizzlies, and in a three-team deal, the Celtics essentially got Tayshaun Prince and a conditional first-round pick. Now we have to jump ahead 5 years into the future because the conditions on this first-round pick are a lot different than the conditions from the first-round pick in the 2003 draft. First of all, the Celtics weren't even eligible to get a first-round pick until the Grizzlies fulfilled their obligation to send a first-round pick to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a trade they made in 2013. However, once it was eligible in the 2017 draft, the protections on this pick were top 10 protected in 2017, top 12 protected in 2018, top 8 protected in 2019, top 6 protected in 2020, and unprotected in 2021. 5 years later, that first-round pick finally conveyed to the Celtics in the 2020 NBA draft, and with the 14th overall pick, the Boston Celtics selected Aaron Nesmith out of Vanderbilt. Nesmith had a pretty good rookie season with the Celtics, even though it was only in 46 games, but he kind of fell off in his second season, and the Celtics were trying to win now and make big moves. So new president of basketball operations Brad Stevens decided to trade Aaron Nesmith and a bunch of other players and a first-round pick to the Indiana Pacers in exchange for guard Malcolm Brogdon. Now, Malcolm Brogdon had an incredible 2023 season and even won Sixth Man of the Year for the Celtics coming off the bench and had a pretty good playoffs until getting injured in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, where the Celtics would lose to the Miami Heat. Now, the Celtics knew that they had to make another move to get them over the top. Brogdon was a good player, but he wasn't going to lead them to a championship. So after a failed three-team trade with the Wizards and the Clippers to acquire Kristaps Porzingis, the Celtics had to find a place to put Malcolm Brogdon. However, the Celtics got lucky because the Portland Trail Blazers traded Damian Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks in exchange for Jrue Holiday, and because the Trail Blazers wanted to move off of Holiday, the Celtics were able to swoop in and trade Malcolm Brogdon and Robert Williams to the Blazers in exchange for Jrue Holiday. Now, if you're a Celtics fan, you know how special the 2024 NBA season was, as the Boston Celtics won the NBA championship behind some clutch plays by Jrue Holiday in the playoffs, and him essentially being the glue of this team and being the piece that sent the Celtics over the top. However, when the Celtics tried to run it back in 2025, Jrue Holiday was not the same player. His stats started to fall off the cliff a little bit, and the Celtics lost in the second round to the New York Knicks. But even worse, Jason Tatum tore his Achilles, and the Celtics thought it was time for a rebuild year. Boston traded Kristaps Porzingis away, they let Al Horford and Luke Kornet walk in free agency, and of course they traded Jrue Holiday, ironically back to the Portland Trail Blazers, for guard Anthony Simons. And now our story brings us to current day, where Anthony Simons started the 2026 season with the Celtics coming off of the bench. He was playing really well, and honestly, it kind of felt like the Celtics weren't going to move him at all. However, that was not the case, as the Celtics traded Anthony Simons and a second-round pick to the Chicago Bulls in exchange for Nikola Vucevic and a second-round pick. Here is a brief overview graphic of the entire story that I just told you, and look how absolutely insane that this trade tree is. Now, there is a chance that this trade tree could continue. The Celtics could re-sign Vucevic in the offseason and flip him again at the trade deadline, or they could use the second-round pick they acquired from Chicago and pick a player or make another trade. To recap our story, because the Celtics drafted Jrue Holiday in the 2000 NBA draft, they have ended up with 2 NBA championships and Nikola Vucevic in 2026. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I hope you have a great day.